there are things Christians don't need to do, right? We were talking about martial arts and things like that, but probably one of the most dangerous that I know of, honestly, and one thing that we deal with quite a bit is yoga, right? Now, I'm just being really, I'm going to tell you why too, but I'm just telling you, if you're involved in yoga, you need to get out, okay? The very term yoga means union with God. That's the purpose of yoga, is to bring you into union with God, right? But it's not the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's the Hindu God, right? And now, the thing is, if you look at a yoga manual, they won't tell you this, but if you get a yoga instructor's manual, in the manual, they talk about opening the 7 chakras, which are the spiritual centers in the body. See, people think, oh, that's all just hoopla. No, it's real, okay? And there are 7 chakras that go up, and they go up the spine, basically from the tailbone all the way up to the top of the head, and they go around. Now, when you open those up, when you get to the 5th chakra, they will tell you in the instructor's manual, warning, it is not advised that you open the 5th chakra, because there is no telling what will happen if you do. They warn you about that, right? And they tell you that some people that open the 5th chakra literally go insane. All right? Now, the thing is, and this is the amazing thing, the 5th chakra is located at the base of the neck, and it is exactly basically just inside, but it is based exactly where the end of your tongue connects. When you open the 5th chakra, usually what happens is you will begin to utter sounds you don't know. Right? That is demonic tongues. It is spiritual, and it is demonic. Now, there are other things that go on with that. Now, the reason for that is because restoring the power of the tongue is a spiritual, I don't want to say exercise, but it's a spiritual experience, put it that way. Okay? Now, now you shouldn't be involved in that. Almost every person I've ever dealt with scoliosis had something to do with yoga. Almost every one of them, right? And the reason being is because of what's called the Kundalini spirit, which is a serpentine spirit, which when you do that, or people sometimes in your family can do that, then it will affect your spine and causes a curvature of the spine that takes the shape of a serpent. Right? So if you're involved in yoga, which I'll be honest, or just share this with you, if you do research on Pilates, the man that invented Pilates actually took some of it from yoga and incorporated it into Pilates. The P90X thing that you might have seen on television, the exercises, they bring yoga into it too. So there's a lot of things there. So I'm not saying don't do exercises. I'm just saying check it out. You don't need to do those things. All of the positions in yoga are basically animal positions that represent animals and call spirits based on the position. Now, I know people get upset over this, but it's a fact. Now, in this, same thing in martial arts. When you do positions in martial arts, there are positions that you do that literally, if I got up here and we were fixing to start the meeting, and I got up and I said, okay, I didn't say anything, but I got up behind the meeting. I said, okay, we're going to start. Everybody sit down. Let's get quiet. Now, if I did that, what would you think? I'm fixing to start praying. Right? I'm going to pray. Or if I get up here and I get down on one knee, or I do something, or I do this, or whatever, okay? All of those are positions of prayer, right? You recognize it, right? Now, if you can recognize that, don't you think a demon can recognize it? Now, so if I get into a position that is a position of prayer. Now, Paul said that you were drawn away and you were led astray to devils, to demons, and you worship gods that weren't gods, but were in actuality demons. So before you were saved, you worshiped things that you thought were gods that were actually demons, but to you they were gods. Now, the demons didn't come and say, hey, wait, I want you to know I'm a demon. I'm just letting you know I'm a demon. So are you really sure you want to be worshiping? They didn't do that. They took the worship, and you thought you were worshiping God, but in actuality you were worshiping demons. You understand? Devils don't care what you know. They will take advantage of the fact that you don't know. And so when you start to pray, because you're human, you are a spirit being that is of a higher level than demons. And because of that, you generate more spiritual power. So they, like parasites, want to draw from that power, so they will try to fool you or deceive you into assuming positions that each position is dedicated to a certain demon. And when you do those positions, you are calling on that demon, and the spiritual power you generate, they come like a parasite and draw that from you. That's why it's wrong to do those things. All right? Now, when I was in martial arts, I did a particular style. One of the styles that I practiced was called Wing Chun. Actually, my grandmaster lives here in Melbourne. His name is William Chung. I trained under him for several years. I was his Texas state representative and was becoming his United States representative whenever I quit martial arts. Now, because of that, when I was studying to get to the higher levels in the what they call black sash, equivalent of black belt, you had to write an essay on a particular art or a particular technique in the art. Well, the one that most people couldn't make work was a technique called the Tan Sao. Tan Sao is supposed to mean palm up block. And the way that it was done was that you had a certain position, you had to assume certain things, and you had to take these positions. Well, at some point you had to come out, and the position was the hand comes out to where this is eye level, and when it got here, then it dropped, and it was this way. Now, the thing is, it had to be on your center line. So when you brought it out, you didn't do it this way. It was over, up, and then dropped. Right? Now, the idea is this stays level and should never be more than really that far away. Anyway, you don't need to know all this, but there it is. Okay? Now, nobody could make this work because this is a block. Well, it doesn't look like a block because it looks like you could easily go around it, right? But the idea is that this block could be used, so for someone through, you would be here and you would just turn it so that you could block and they would hit and this would absorb. I don't care how big you are, how strong you are, how hard you can hit. If you do it right, this will absorb any punch and it won't get through. And your arm won't, what we call break the bridge. It won't break. So you can learn that. Well, nobody could make it work. Well, when I started doing my essay on it, I did research on it. Come to find out, this wasn't called Tan Sao. Originally, it was called Asking Buddha for Help. But nobody told us that because they just called it Tan Sao, which meant palm up block. Okay? But now listen, demons don't care what you call it. What they're looking for is the position that draws them. So when you're asking Buddha they still think it is asking Buddha for help. So when you do that, they will draw to that because that is a prayer position. Well, every position in yoga is a prayer position to a different deity, and that's what opens the chakras as you go through these, because that and the breathing exercises that allows these demons to possess you, and you gain power and spirituality. Understand? So, now, you say, what has that got to do with healing? I don't know, but apparently there's somebody here that's moving up in the levels of yoga that needs to know that, and you might have been asking God about it, whether it's right or wrong, right? So there's your answer. Okay, it's real simple. Same thing with martial arts. All I'm saying is that just because people think that just because your intentions are right, that makes it okay. That is not true. Jesus said that you can worship him in vain. Do you understand that? Well, if you can worship in vain, then apparently your intentions have something to do with it, right? But it's not just by intentions, because you can intend to worship correctly, but it be in vain. Well, how did he say you could worship in vain? You can worship him in vain by not doing his word, but calling him Lord, Lord. Right? So that means you can stand here all day long and sing and praise and worship and all that kind of stuff, but it's in vain if you're not doing his word, what he said to do, and if all you're doing is worshiping. Do you understand? Now, because Jesus said very clear that the time has come and now is when that God is seeking for those who will worship him in spirit and in truth. So it's not just enough to just worship with words. Okay? You understand all this, right?